Okay, this is a really basic replay. This only needs Auto Navigator and UA Hyper Stadium, or instead of UA Hyper Stadium, you could use City Grand Prix or Off-Road Grand Prix as well. First, you normal Auto Navigator, grab yourself either Off-Road Grand Prix or City Grand Prix, then use Hyper Stadium, and Hyper Stadium is going to add you Hang on Mech. Then use Hyper Stadium's effect to get the additional normal summon Hang on Mech, and then link off Auto Navigator in a copy of Anima. Don't activate this Fieldspell yet, because otherwise Anima can't be link summoned because it needs a level 1 monster, and then Auto Navigator would be a level 3 monster if you activate Off-Road Grand Prix already. Now we activate Off-Road Grand Prix, use Hang on Mech's effect to increase its level. This way we now get a level 7 Hang on Mech. Then we use the Auto Navigator in the graveyard, special summon itself, make an Ancient Fairy Dragon, pop the Fieldspell, we can add City Grand Prix here, activate the effect of Ancient Fairy Dragon to special summon a level 4 lower monster from our hand, special summon the Hang on Mech, and then we use Hang on Mech, Anima and the Fairy Dragon to make a BLS Soldier of Chaos, and this way we use the level 7 or higher monster as material for the BLS, and it gains the effect that it cannot be destroyed by our opponent's card effects and it cannot be targeted by our opponent's card effects. Yeah, this is an easy 2-card combo that ends on a BLS. Here's a slight variation of the combo I just showed you. This doesn't have Hyper Stadium in hand, it rather has Off-Road Grand Prix or City Grand Prix in hand. Here again we normal summon the Auto Navigator, and now we grab the Hyper Stadium. We are in the same situation again, we got the Hyper Stadium and the Off-Road Grand Prix. Now just Hyper Stadium F, add the Hang on Mech, and it's just the same combo from here on. Now a 3-card combo. This needs Auto Navigator, Hang on Mech, and either City Grand Prix, Off-Road Grand Prix, or UI Hyper Stadium. First normal summon the Auto Navigator, and then Auto Navigator is gonna grab you City Grand Prix or Off-Road Grand Prix if you opened the Hyper Stadium already, or it's gonna grab you the Hyper Stadium if you opened one of the other two already. I'm grabbing the City Grand Prix, activate Hyper Stadium F, reveal the Fieldspell in our hand to get an additional normal summon, normal the Hang on Mech. Then we can increase the level of the Hang on Mech to 7. It's increased by 2 with the City Grand Prix, and we can increase it once because we activated a Fieldspell, or rather we activated an FA spell. Special summon the Dark Dragster that we searched with the Hyper Stadium because we control a level 7 or higher FA monster on our side of the field. This is a level 7 in hand, but when it's special summoned it's a level 9 because the City Grand Prix increases its level by 2. City Grand Prix increases the level of the Auto Navigator as well. This way we get a 3 and a 9, and we can use these to make a final Sigma. We now have a level 7 Hang on Mech on our side of the field that cannot be targeted by card effects because of City Grand Prix, and is unaffected by every monster whose level is 1 to 6. Yeah, this is pretty good because we get a Macrocosm that cannot be targeted, that's on 2100 attack, and we get a final Sigma. If you know you play against Flanderies, for example, and they don't really care about the Macrocosm effect, then you can still use the Auto Navigator in Graveyard because we haven't used that effect yet. Auto Navigator F, target the Hang on Mech, special summon itself, this becomes a level 3, this becomes a level 4, and then you can make a Dawn Dragster with these two. This way you get an additional spell trap negate, and you get a final Sigma, just with these 3 cards. And yeah, you can play any cards that search these as well, and as I said, the Hyper Stadium can be an Off-Road Grand Prix or City Grand Prix as well. This is the default Meklord combo. This only needs Nucleus Core. It's a bit better if you opened Assembly, but Nucleus Core is a bit more accessible because you can special summon it with Gizmek Naganaki, and you can special summon it with the 1-for-1. And any 2 field spells. Now I always like to activate my field spells early in case my opponent pops them for some reason, but yeah, I normal the Infinity Core F, this grabs us an Assembly, then we can activate Assembly. Assembly is gonna get us a Wisel, and then we can just discard the Wisel, target the Infinity Core, pop our own field spell, and special summon with the Infinity Core. I'm kinda messing up the chain links here. You could special summon as chain link 1 with Infinity Core from the deck and chain link 2 with the Assembly, just to play around Ash, but yeah, it doesn't matter much. Special summon the Wisel from the deck, so this is a spell negate, and if our opponent has a Synchro monster, we can even equip the Synchro monster to the Wisel as a monster. It's pretty funny because sometimes this can bait out a Baron, but it doesn't come up much, I'll say it like that. Then, because we popped the Fieldspell, we can search ourselves a Hyper Stadium if we didn't open it already, or we could search ourselves a City Grand Prix or an Off-Road Grand Prix, which are the two other good Fieldspells. Then activate Hyper Stadium F, grab ourselves the Hang-On Mech, Hyper Stadium reveal the last Fieldspell we got in our hand, so that we can normal summon the Hang-On Mech, and then activate City Grand Prix to increase the level of the Hang-On Mech by 1, and by 2 because of the City Grand Prix. This way, again, we got an untargetable Hang-On Mech whose level is 7 or higher, who's unaffected by any monster whose level is lower than his own level, with an Imperator Wisel. Why does this matter, that he's unaffected by activated effects from any opponent's monster who's yada yada yada? This way our opponent, for example, cannot Ghost Ogre it, or they can't Veiler it, which is pretty nice. They can't Veiler and Ghost Ogre it anyway, because those are not level 4. But it's pretty nice that it has that effect. This needs Auto Navigator and, again, either Off-Road Grand Prix, City Grand Prix, or UA Hyper Stadium. Normal Auto Navigator grabs you Hyper Stadium if you didn't open it already, or it grabs you Off-Road Grand Prix or City Grand Prix if you opened the Hyper Stadium already. Activate Hyper Stadium is gonna grab your Hang-On Mech, then use Hyper Stadium's effect for the additional normal summon the Hang-On Mech, and then you make a Garden Rose Flora. Then you can use Garden Rose Flora to pop the Hyper Stadium. It's important here that you don't activate the Off-Road Grand Prix yet. Really, don't use the Off-Road Grand Prix. I know it's tempting that you want to get the additional search right now, but you want to keep the Off-Road Grand Prix for the Ancient Fairy Dragon. That comes later on. Right now we are locked into Synchro monsters because of Garden Rose Flora's effect. Technically you could play some level 7 Synchros in the extra deck that do stuff on your opponent's turn, but I really don't like them. But if you want to, you can play a level 7 Synchro in the extra deck just for exactly this scenario. We can Synchro summon during our opponent's main phase right now with the Garden Rose Flora. If we've got some other cards, then we can put some other monsters on board, and this would be an additional interruption during our opponent's turn if we use the Garden Rose Flora, but I don't know, it dies to Imperm, and I really don't like it. Now I activate the Fieldspell. As I said, I like to activate my Fieldspells early. Make an Ancient Fairy Dragon and then Ancient Fairy Dragon F. We can pop the Fieldspell. Now it's important that we search a Circuit Grand Prix. Really, Circuit Grand Prix. This is the worst Fieldspell because it only increases the levels by 2 during the battle phase, but it matters for exactly this combo. We search the Circuit Grand Prix with the Ancient Fairy Dragon effect, and now we will use the Off-Road Grand Prix or City Grand Prix or whatever we just popped effect to search ourselves a Hang-On Mech. Then we use Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect, special summon the Hang-On Mech. Now we use the Circuit Grand Prix, increase the level of Hang-On Mech by 1 because a field spell, an FA spell was activated, and we still haven't used the Auto Navigator in grave or in hand. Then we special summon the Auto Navigator from grave, and we get a 5, we get a 1, and we get a 7. We get a Final Sigma. So this is another easy way to make a Final Sigma. It locks you into Synchro monsters though, so yeah. It puts up exactly the materials for BLS as well. You get a level 7 Auto Navigator and the Hang-On Mech, but yeah, you are locked into Synchro monsters, so you can only make the Final Sigma, which is why I'm playing the Final Sigma as a level 12 Synchro monster in the extra deck. This combo right now shows off how good Xyz Align is, and what you can do if you didn't open any FA spells. Right now I got a Hang-On Mech, an Auto Navigator and an Xyz Align, and my opponent has at least one monster. I prefer to use Xyz Align going first, but you can't always decide if you go first or second, and this kinda shows how good Xyz Align is going second. I normal the Hang-On Mech, then I use Xyz Align, target my opponent's monster and the Hang-On Mech, and I make them level 9s. Then I use Auto Navigator in my hand, special summon itself, and then Auto Navigator on summon F, grab myself a City Grand Prix, a City Grand Prix. Then I'm Synchro summoning into a FA Motorhome transport, and then I activate City Grand Prix. This allows me to increase the level of Motorhome transport by 1, and now we got a level 12 Motorhome transport that cannot be targeted because of City Grand Prix, and cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects because of its own effect. This way we basically got a, I'll say, slightly better Dragoon without the negate, because it's on 3600 and it cannot be targeted or be destroyed by card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by battle as well, which is kind of nice. Sometimes you want to go for the Motorhome transport instead of the Final Sigma, and Final Sigma, it's a Cyberse. That's why, unless your opponent has exactly a Cyberse monster on their side of the field, then if you use Exceed the Line, you can't summon the Final Sigma. And this is a machine, so you can always summon it. This kind of just shows that you can play around Droll if you really want to. The hand I have right now is not good if you want to play around Droll, because Auto Navigator searches, Hyper Stadium searches, if we pop City Grand Prix it searches, and I just wanted to show you that you can really play around Droll if you wanted to. I'm normaling Hang on Mech right now, then use Hyper Stadium F. I don't search, but I use the Hyper Stadium F to get an additional normal summon. This way we can increase our Hang on Mech's level by 2, because first we activate Hyper Stadium and then we use Hyper Stadium's effect. Then I'm using City Grand Prix and I can increase the Hang on Mech's level by 1 again, and it's increased by 2 by the City Grand Prix. Now I can normal summon the Auto Navigator and search. My opponent cannot draw me because he cannot send anything to the graveyard for cost, because I got the Hang on Mech on my side of the field, whose level is 7 or higher. I can now use Test Run to change the battle position of my own Auto Navigator and pop my City Grand Prix to get an additional search. My opponent still can't draw me, because the Hang on Mech is level 7, even though I don't have a Fieldspell on my side of the field. Then I can increase the level of Hang on Mech again. I searched a Dark Dragster with the last Fieldspell, grab myself a Circuit Grand Prix as well. Then Dark Dragster F, I pop my own Fieldspell to get an additional search, and now I'm searching City Grand Prix just because this is really good, because it makes the stuff untargetable as well. Increase the levels again, then link these two off into a Shining Star GT. I could have tried to make some synchro plays as well if I wanted to, but this is really just showing off what you can do if you really want to play around Droll. And then activate City Grand Prix. And I got a pretty nice board here. I got a 4200 attack point monster, a 4200 attack point monster, and this is a monster negate, and this is a macrocosm on legs, and nothing is targetable here. If I just played into Droll, then the board would have been way worse. I could have activated Hyper Stadium, gotten a search, then I get Drolled, and then I can't search with Auto Navigator, I can't search if any field spell is destroyed. Yeah, it would have just not been worth it. So if you want to respect Droll, you can really play around Droll.